The wind howled across the mountain road, carrying snow like shards of glass. In the middle of nowhere stood a small wooden cabin, its roof half buried under the storm, smoke curling weakly from the chimney. Inside, Claire Dawson, a single mom of two, wrapped an old blanket tighter around her shoulders as the wood stove crackled. It was a brutal winter night, and the power had gone out hours ago. Her kids, Lily and Max, were asleep by the fire, their cheeks pink from the cold. Claire stared at the dwindling pile of firewood inside, another night surviving by inches. She'd moved to the mountains to escape, from the noise of the city, from a husband who'd walked out, from a life that had fallen apart. But sometimes, when the snow sealed her off from the world, she wondered if she'd run too far. It was near midnight when she heard it, the faint hum of engines in the distance. At first, she thought she was dreaming. No one drove up this far in a storm like this, but then the sound grew louder, deeper, until headlights cut through the white fog outside her window. A line of motorcycles, their lights flickering like ghostly torches, crawled up her snow-covered driveway. She froze, heart pounding. Bikers, at least 20 of them. Their jackets glistened with ice, their faces hidden under helmets and scarves. The lead rider, a massive man with a silver beard, stepped off his bike and stomped toward her porch. He knocked, 3 firm, heavy knocks that echoed through the cabin. Claire hesitated, staring at the door. Every survival instinct screamed at her not to open it. But then she looked past the curtains, saw how their shoulders trembled, their breath fogging in the air. One of them was holding his arm, shivering violently. They weren't raiders. They were freezing. She opened the door. "What do you want?" she asked cautiously. The bearded man's voice was low, gravelly. "Ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. We're stranded. Storm took out the road. We just need a place to warm up. We'll stay outside if you'd rather." Claire looked at them, 25 men and women covered in frost, their leather soaked through, their faces pale. Every part of her wanted to protect her kids. But another part, the mother, the human being that couldn't turn them away. She exhaled. "Come in, all of you. Shoes off by the door." The man blinked, surprised. "Ma'am, there's a lot of us." "Then you'd better move fast before I change my mind." One by one, the bikers filed in, stamping snow off their boots, muttering quiet thanks. The cabin filled with warmth and life as she threw more logs on the fire, handed out blankets, and poured what little hot cocoa she had into mugs. The kids woke up sleepy and wide-eyed, but soon were giggling as one of the bikers, and a tattooed giant named Bear, showed them how to roast marshmallows over the flames. The leader introduced himself as Rex Malone, president of a biker brotherhood called the Iron Saints. "We were doing a charity run for vets," he explained, rubbing his hands over the fire. "Didn't expect the storm to hit this hard." Claire nodded. "You picked a bad night for a road trip," he chuckled. "Yeah, but looks like we picked the right house." They stayed up talking as the storm raged outside. Claire listened as these rough, intimidating men told stories about helping rebuild homes, raising money for kids' hospitals, rescuing stray dogs on the highway. Beneath the leather and scars, they weren't monsters. They were men trying to do good in their own way. By morning, the snow had stopped. The world outside was silent, blanketed in white. Claire stepped onto the porch and saw their bikes half buried under snowdrifts. "Looks like you're not going anywhere soon," she said with a small smile. Rex nodded. "We'll dig out." "Don't worry, ma'am. We'll be gone before you miss us." She poured coffee for everyone, watched as they shoveled, fixed what they could, and before leaving, Rex approached her. He handed her an envelope, thick and heavy. "For the trouble," he said. She frowned. "I don't need your money." He smiled softly. "It's not money. Open it when we're gone." And then they rode off one by one until the sound of engines faded into the distance. Hours later, she opened the envelope. Inside was a single note. "If you ever need help, call the Iron Saints." Beneath it, a phone number, and a photograph of a small boy standing beside a motorcycle. On the back, the words, "For my son. Someone once gave him shelter. I never forgot." She didn't understand what it meant, not yet. 3 days later, as she prepared dinner, the news came on the radio. "Heavy snowstorms expected again tonight," the announcer said. Claire sighed, looked out at the woods, and prayed it wouldn't be as bad. But by nightfall the storm was worse than before. The wind howled and the lights flickered again. Then came a sound she didn't expect. The distant roar of engines, louder than last time. She ran to the window. Her jaw dropped. The road outside her cabin was filled, not with 20 bikers, but hundreds. Headlights illuminated the trees, casting long shadows through the snow. The air trembled with the sound of 200 motorcycles idling in unison. She stepped onto the porch, shielding her eyes from the glare. Rex stood at the front again, snow clinging to his beard. "Rex," she called out. What are you doing here?" He smiled. "You gave shelter to my family. Now it's our turn." Confused, she watched as trucks rolled up behind them, loaded with firewood, propane, groceries, and supplies. "You're snowed in up here with kids," he said. "We don't let our own freeze." Tears welled in her eyes as she covered her mouth. "I didn't ask for this," he chuckled. "Yeah, but you didn't ask for us the first time either. Didn't stop you then." The bikers worked for hours, unloading, stacking, repairing. They fixed her roof, reinforced her generator, and filled her pantry until it looked like a small market. Lily and Max ran between them, laughing, helping hand out cookies. The storm no longer felt frightening. It felt alive with warmth, laughter, and roaring engines. When everything was done, Rex handed her one last gift, a leather jacket in her size, stitched with an emblem, Iron Saints, honor in Brotherhood. "You're one of us now, Claire," he said. "Family ain't just blood," she laughed through tears. "I can't wear this." "You already earned it." That night, as the blizzard howled outside, the sound of hundreds of motorcycles echoed down the valley, fading like thunder. Claire stood on her porch, clutching the jacket to her chest, her heart full. For the first time in years, she didn't feel alone. Because once upon a time, she had opened her door to strangers. And now the road had opened its heart to her. When kindness meets loyalty, it creates something stronger than fear. A family that rides together through every storm. And in that quiet cabin in the mountains, the single mom who once hid from the world finally found hers, carried on the sound of 200 roaring engines disappearing into the dawn.